You cried last week. Maybe you don't remember why. Maybe it was something small, a song, a tired evening, a stranger's kindness. But somewhere in your body, water rose up and spilled down your face for a reason far stranger than sadness. Because tears are not just an overflow of emotion. They are one of the oldest, strangest signals your species ever developed. And almost nobody stops to ask why. Think about it. Every other animal on Earth produces tears to protect its eyes. Lubrication, moisture, a basic biological function. But you are the only creature that cries because you feel something. No chimpanzee weeps at a wedding. No dolphin sobs into a pillow. Somewhere in the last few 100,000 years, your ancestors turned a simple eye-cleaning mechanism into a message. A message written in salt water, read by other people, sent without a single word. So what is that message actually saying? Start with the biochemist William Free, who spent years collecting tears in test tubes. Not the tears from cutting onions, the other kind. The kind that comes from grief, or joy, or watching your own child walk across a stage. Frey found something your ancestors could never have known, but somehow acted on anyway. Emotional tears carry a different chemical signature than reflex tears. They contain stress hormones. They contain natural painkillers your body produces on its own. When you cry from feeling, you are not just leaking water. You are physically discharging chemicals your body built up under pressure. That alone should stop you. Your body treats emotional overload the same way it treats a wound. It looks for a way to drain it. But chemistry only explains half the story. The other half is about who is watching. The psychologist Orrin Hassan proposed something that sounds almost too simple to be true. He argued that tears evolved specifically because they blur your vision. Think about that for a second. A signal that temporarily disables the very eyes producing it. Why would evolution build something so seemingly counterproductive? Hassan's answer was blunt. Vulnerability is the point. When your vision blurs, you are, for a few seconds, less able to detect a threat. You are announcing, without saying a single word, that you trust the people around you enough to lower your guard completely. In a world where a single crying face may not be believed, that momentary blindness became the proof that words alone could never provide. Your ancestors lived in small, tightly bonded groups. Survival depended on trust, on knowing who would help you when the group's resources ran short, and who might quietly let you fall behind. A face that could fake a smile could also fake concern. But a face that blurred its own vision, that let itself become momentarily helpless in front of others, was much harder to fake convincingly. Tears became a kind of biological signature, difficult to forge, costly to produce, and because it was costly, it was believed. This is where the psychologist Ad Vingerhoutz enters the story. Vingerhoutz has spent decades studying crying across cultures, and one of his central findings keeps surfacing again and again. People who witness someone crying feel an almost automatic pull toward comfort. Not judgment first, not suspicion first. Comfort first. Something ancient in your nervous system recognizes tears as an emergency flare, and something equally ancient in the people around you responds to that flare before their conscious mind even catches up. Now here is the part that should genuinely surprise you. Vingerhoutz also found that crying does not always make people feel immediately better. In fact, in the moment, it can make you feel worse. Heart rate rises. Breathing becomes uneven. The body goes through a kind of internal storm. Relief tends to come later, and only under a very specific condition. You have to feel that someone witnessed it. Cry completely alone, with no one around, and the emotional benefit often shrinks. Cry in front of someone who responds with warmth, and the emotional weight measurably drops. Your tears, in other words, were never fully designed to work in isolation. They were built for an audience, built for connection. A private release valve wrapped inside a deeply social signal, which raises an uncomfortable question. What happens when there is no one there to see it? Modern life has quietly changed the terms of that ancient contract. Your ancestors cried inside a tribe of maybe 30, 50, 100 people who knew every detail of your life. Someone always saw. Someone always responded. You, on the other hand, might cry in a locked bathroom, in a parked car, In the blue light of a phone screen at 2 in the morning, with nobody around to complete the signal your body was built to send. The mechanism is still there. The audience is often missing. The psychologist Jonathan Rottenberg has studied exactly this gap, and his research suggests something that reframes a lot of modern struggle. Crying that gets witnessed and met with support tends to regulate emotion effectively. Crying that happens in isolation, again and again, over time, is far more strongly linked to prolonged sadness and even depression. It is not that crying itself is unhealthy. It is that an ancient signal, built for connection, is increasingly being sent into an empty room. Sit with that for a moment. Your body still performs a ritual designed for a village. It still assumes that somewhere nearby, another person is watching, ready to respond, ready to close the loop your tears opened. But so much of your life now happens behind closed doors, behind screens, behind the quiet architecture of modern privacy. The signal fires, and too often, nothing answers back. There is something almost heartbreaking in that mismatch, and something clarifying too, because once you understand what tears are actually for, crying stops looking like weakness. It starts looking like an instinct thousands of generations old, one that correctly identifies when you need another human being nearby. Not a distraction, not a fix, just presence. Just someone willing to see you mid-storm and not look away. Think back to the last time you cried in front of someone you trusted, and they simply stayed. Didn't rush to solve it, didn't change the subject, just stayed. Notice how different that felt from crying where no one could see. That difference is not random. That difference is the entire evolutionary purpose of the tear. So the next time water rises in your eyes, resist the urge to explain it away as an overreaction, or hide it until it passes. Your body is not malfunctioning. It is doing something it has done since before language existed. It is reaching for the oldest form of connection your species ever built, one that costs nothing to produce and cannot easily be faked. You cried last week. Maybe you still don't remember exactly why, but your body did. It was never really about the sadness at all. It was about being seen.